Cyberpunk has always been a genre that I loved from when I first read Neuromancer to watching Blade Runner sometime about the same period in my early 20s or so. It's just, it kind of was like the future that I foresaw. It wasn't the glitzy and super clean sci-fi that I was used to. It's just a super gritty and grim world with some awesome tech, you know? Cyberpunk is kind of a statement about corporate greed and just, you know, anti-authoritarianism. It's kind of like this depressing dystopia that you, for some odd reason, want to live in. But it's just amazing. It's kind of like a warning of our impending future almost, and that always resonated with me. So we have two videos out now, but those are really not a good portrayal of what our game is going to turn out to look like. I guess kind of overall, it's going to be the same look and feel of what you see in the videos, but I was using assets to build those videos by myself. And now I've got a team working on it and rebuilding all the assets to make them our own. So by the time we finish this game, we should have all assets completely replaced with our own in-house assets. The programmers are working on an insane system that I can barely even comprehend, much less try to explain to you. But it's insane. The hard part is getting them all to work cohesively together, all those systems. We're really trying to do a lot of things in one game. So you have like this grab bag of all these cool things you want to put in. And you know, I had the things that I already had in the original couple demos, and those things were awesome. And then everybody else threw in their input, and we kind of had this mix mosh of really cool ideas. And then we kind of had to have a design meeting and be like, all right, what really fits the theme of this game and what doesn't? What can we actually accomplish with the tools and the team that we have? And what do we probably need to put on the back burner? We can't obviously make a massive open world that's as dense as a Deus Ex game. Nobody's really done that kind of for a reason. And we definitely don't have the team size or the funding to do that. So we had to work our scope within reason. And so there was a lot of design meetings on kind of what's going to fit, what are we going to do, what are we going to put in here, and then, you know, as we build those systems, we'll kind of refine them, find out what does fit, what doesn't fit. So it's going to be an ever-changing process, but the end result should be amazing because we've got some very intricate systems that we're building. Yes, I have recruited people from all over the world. Amazing talent. I'm not even just saying that. We've just got some really great team members, all of whom believe in Divine Futura and the idea of censorship-free gaming. And we all just kind of want to build the best game that we possibly can without, you know, publishers breathing down our necks and censorship. You know, we're our own bosses. We can make whatever game we want to make. And that's really, I think, the allure of the whole thing. About 50% of the assets that are in the game right now are bought from Unreal Engine. When you start a game by yourself, you kind of have to try to cut as many corners as you can without sacrificing quality. Otherwise, you're going to take 20 years to make the game of the scope that, of the scale that we're trying to make. So at first, yeah, I used a lot of paid for assets. I probably spent about $6 grand just purchasing all the assets I thought I might use for the game. But as the team grew, those assets have started becoming less and less. We're kind of just replacing them. And like I said earlier, by the time the game ends, we should have completely removed all the original assets and replaced them with in-house assets. So I have 15 years experience in the film industry, and I have 20 years experience in the music business, where I've been playing from a range of metal bands and cover bands, 80s, bands and even my father's country band. I've only been working inside the Unreal Engine for 2 years now, but I've been doing graphics design, animation, 3D modeling for the past 5 years or so. What this means is essentially I have the ability to do a little bit of every job in game dev. I'm kind of like a jack of all trades and a master of none. I'm not sure if that's totally a positive, but in my case it really seems to work because I understand a little bit about everyone's job on the team, and so I can better communicate their needs with them and kind of understand where they're coming from in their processes. Because most of my job these days isn't game dev. In fact, I find myself not doing any game design in Engine anymore at all, pretty much. I do some random 3D modeling and animation when we need it, but for the most part I have team members working on those things who are far more experienced than I am. So I just kind of keep everyone on track and everyone working towards the same goal and overall vision for the project at this point. I'm doing a lot of marketing right now and getting people on board, interested in the community, and talking to a lot of bands and artists who are donating their music, which is another cool point. We've got 20 plus bands so far, bands and artists so far, who have donated music to our game for the radio stations in game. We're going to have various radio stations with a multitude of different genres that fit the cyberpunk theme. And yeah, we've just been getting tons of them. Our soundtrack is going to be amazing. We've got some really talented artists on board so far. But yeah, to answer your question, I've only been working in Engine for 2 years, but I knew enough to start working on the game that I really wanted to create. The game that I felt needed to exist, sort of that Blade Runner-esque neon noir fantasy detective game. And I was just shocked that it hadn't been done yet. Plus, I'm so adamant about censorship in video games. I'm just completely against it. And so I knew the game needed to be made. And plus, it was just the game that I really wanted to play, and there was no option for me to play that game because it didn't exist. So I knew that even if it took me 10 years, I was going to work really hard on getting that game out. Luckily, it's not going to take that long because I've built an incredible team to help me in this endeavor. Sure. Making an adult game is probably something most developers would shy away from, but I think publishers are afraid of that market because they're afraid they'll lose part of their player base or their consumer base. We could really care less, obviously, about marketing to the masses, and we kind of want to kill that stigma. We feel like it's more important that we push an envelope where an envelope needs to be pushed. I mean, if you've already given someone your ID to purchase a mature game, then you've already proven that you're an adult. And there's no reason from that point forward that we should be holding your hand or kind of telling you what you should or shouldn't be looking at. That's not really our place. I mean, you've already proven that you're 18. Why are we still covering your eyes? You know, it's totally okay for console publishers and the like if you blast a hooker in the face with a shotgun and her head explodes and her eyeball goes rolling down the street, and that's totally fine, but they draw the line on seeing a body part. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous. This is 2020, we're past that. And if we're not, well, we should be. But let's be clear, Divine Futura is not a porn game. We do have adult content, and we pull no punches when it comes to our relationships in the game. But that adult content is about 1 to 5% of what this game is about. We have an incredible story, just one of the richest stories that I've ever heard, to be quite fair, and I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but it's really good. It's really good. And what we have planned for gameplay I don't really want to get into specifics because some of these things might change, and people on the internet like to get really mad when you change something that you told them was going to be one way and now it's not that way. So I want to be a little careful with what we say moving forward, but I know you'll like it. I can say that much. We have a lot of systems planned to live out whatever life you want to live inside of our city. Immersion is key. We want you to take our game, enjoy the story, enjoy the relationships, and feel like you could just live in this place. And I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to build a world that I want to live in. So we kind of find ourselves in this gray area. I like to call it our super special awesome niche, where we're not in the adult games market per se, but we're also not in the AAA games market per se. We're kind of like right in between both of those, minus the, 300 team members and millions of dollars. But I feel like it's right where we need to be.